We live in a digital world now, and participating in the digital economy is an imperative for all. These videos are designed to help you quickly understand the key digital topics and the technologies in approximately 5 minutes. A number of 2017 industry analyst reports indicated that many organizations are not really progressing fast enough with leveraging digital technologies for business value. McKinsey and Company indicated that less than 40% of organizations are digitized. Dynatrace, in a survey of over 1,200 organizations, found 48% of survey participants indicated digital performance challenges were hindering their success in their digital transformation. A 2017 OECD study for the G20 meeting on the key issues for digital transformation indicated that 50% of organizations experience one or more of the challenges we shall shortly present, slowing down their participation in the digital economy. A review of industry reports and studies, as you can see here, from leading analysts and digital leaders, comes up with a pretty consistent list of the top challenges that limit or slow digital transformation. We shall take a look at these now. Lack of a clear vision and strategic intent relating to leveraging digital for business value is a limiting factor in setting the direction and focus for the organization. Lack of knowledge and competence that gives leaders the confidence to set the right vision and plan, and for other stakeholders the ability to productively contribute in the transformation. Attitudes towards existing systems and technology presents a barrier to new technology adoption, whether it be sunk cost or emotional investment, or perceived technical challenges such as integration and interoperability. Performance management and return on investment visibility is an issue, where organizations are not experiencing the impact of their technology investment. Lack of focus on the customer and their digital engagement and journey in the acquisition of your organization's products and services, another important issue that slows down digital transformation. Inertia at all levels. At the highest level, the perception of risk that significant change to the business or business model might bring, right down to the operational level where fear of the unknown and what might be the consequences of digital transformation for the individual or teams. Digital transformation can enable and require culture change. Digital has the potential to change how individuals live and work. How an organization functions and its performance in achieving its aims is influenced by many factors, both internal and external, generally described as the environment. The external environment includes things like regulation, new technology, competitive landscape, suppliers, social and economic conditions, and the related changes to any or all of these and its impact on the core value of the organization. The internal environment for an organization includes such things as policy, culture, resources, and structure as they exist and as they change over time. The environment then reflects a broad range of factors that influence how organizations and their stakeholders behave and perform. Ecosystems are about specific component entities within the environment, such as enterprises, people, and things, and how they connect and interact in the process of creating value for the organization in the development, provision, and consumption of the organization's products or services, often referred to as the offerings. Ecosystems are event-driven in that they sense, react, and adapt dynamically in an organic manner. Ecosystems models originated as part of scientific research in the natural world. Scientists studied factors that influence the evolution of species and the relationships between species in the environment. Business ecosystems have similar models. The actors in the ecosystems are the participants, enterprises, people, or things. The model here was originally developed by Dr. James Moore, a fellow at Harvard University. The core business ecosystem is largely the internal ecosystem of the organization and those participants that directly contribute to the value chain. The extended enterprise ecosystem includes those actors that have a strong influence on the core business, while the greater business ecosystem includes those stakeholders that wish to be, or are desired to be, or are mandated to influence the ecosystem. The relationships between the ecosystem participants or the actors are reflected in the network of connections that enable events or transactions to be initiated, sensed, or received that relate to the creation of value and the health of the ecosystem. We judge the health or performance of the ecosystem by considering 4 performance indicators. Firstly, the value it creates overall for each participant. Secondly, its critical mass as an indicator of its robustness. Thirdly, the rate of continuous improvement. And fourthly, its ability to adapt and learn to changing circumstances. The evolution of ecosystems and their ability to adapt and change determines survival or the success level. In business, we want to understand and influence the creation of the ecosystem, its growth, our particular influence on it, and its ability to adapt and learn from what's going on in the environment. Organizations tend to adopt one of 4 different roles that reflects their strategic intent for their participation in the ecosystem. Keystone is an organization that is focused on improving the health and performance of the ecosystem as a whole, creating and sharing value while acting as the system-wide driver and regulator. A physical dominator is an organization that aims to integrate horizontally and vertically, so they own or manage a large proportion of the network. In doing so, they often damage the health of the ecosystem. A value dominator is an organization with little direct control. It creates little value for the ecosystem and extracts as much as possible. It can lead to the collapse of the system if unchecked. Niche players, when allowed to thrive, represent the bulk of a healthy ecosystem, each having their own specialization. Niche players are responsible for most of the value creation and innovation. Differentiation is important for these actors. Michael Porter's value chain helps organizations understand and plan for where and how they create value. Primary activities relate to the direct processing of inputs such as materials and information through the supply chain. From receipt through the transformation by men and machines of the inputs into the output offerings, that is, products and services, these being available for delivery, consumption, and support once they have been sold. The net value or margin is the premium or excess income over the cost for the organization to provide the customer to consume over time. Support activities relate to the supporting or indirect resources and assets that enable the efficient and effective execution of the primary activities in a manner that maximizes the premium or the net value created. Support activities are often associated with indirect functions such as HR, facilities, finance, etc. Internal ecosystems represent the network of actors, entities, or participants that influence each other within the value chain. Some internal ecosystems operate wholly internally, but most have some connection to external ecosystems. Products, materials, information, project, or quality are some of the ecosystems an organization might be concerned with. When we consider an organization's ecosystems, what concerns us is how and where the ecosystem's participants contribute to maximizing the value for the organization, while optimizing the value for themselves within the value chain. An organization needs to understand the various ecosystems it, as an enterprise, its people, or its technology participate in. What are the networks of participants, their influence, and their relationships? In our example, we look at the supplier ecosystem network. The questions an organization should be concerned with are: who are the actors, that is, the participants? What are the relationships between them? How well does the ecosystem perform? Its health, its robustness, continuous improvement, and its adaptability. What are the dynamics of the ecosystem, or what stage of evolution is it at? What strategies and behaviors do the key participants adopt? If you remember from earlier, keystone, dominators, or niche players. Ultimately, the value of participation in the ecosystem should provide sustainable growth and value over time for the participants and the ecosystem as a whole. The next example considers the talent ecosystem, both internal and external actors or participants, their influence, behaviors, and relationships. An organization should ask the same questions as the previous example. So, for example, government agencies or labor unions can directly or indirectly affect the organization's value creation. Naturally, an organization will be concerned with their impact, their inputs, their outputs, but it also must consider how they behave, its relationship with these actors in the ecosystem and the other ecosystem participants. It must also consider the role or the strategies that these two actors adopt and how that affects the performance of the ecosystem as a whole and how it affects other participants. Ecosystems are models that reflect the interconnections of enterprises and the value they contribute to the organization's offerings and the ecosystem itself. They must also derive some value from the ecosystem to remain active in it. Talent ecosystems are models that reflect the interconnections between people and enterprises, and how they create value for the organization in the development, provision, and consumption of offerings. They also must derive value from their participation in the ecosystem to remain active in it. Technology ecosystems are models that reflect the interconnection of things, physical technology-enabled devices. They provide data and information in a manner that enables the organization leverage value from enterprise and people within the business and talent ecosystems. The digital ecosystem reflects the alignment and interconnection of enterprises, people, and things as appropriate around a common or interoperable technology, platform, and/or standard that maximizes the collaborative value for both the system and its stakeholders. Having considered ecosystems and their characteristics and reviewed a possible model for the digital landscape, let us now consider the model we will use to help analyze the organization and its ecosystems when we take into account the digital landscape and how it relates to value creation. The digital organization is the enterprise view of the ecosystems as they relate to technology-enabled business processes. To what extent is value created through healthy engagement and influence, today or in the future, internally or externally? The digital workplace is the person view of how individuals engage productively in their day-to-day activities and their participation in the digital agenda of the organization. The person view is influenced by the ecosystems that relate to talent management through the life cycle of their engagement with the organization. The organization's concern will be with the competence and capability of individuals and individuals in teams to develop, operate, use, or support the use of technology in their day-to-day roles and projects. The digital backbone reflects the infrastructure or platform of things or devices that underpin the enterprise and its digital technology and processes. It represents the foundation technology infrastructure base, which often requires stability and consistency over a longer time frame. The digital services framework reflects the ecosystem and underlying processes that allow for the core digital behaviors of the enterprise and individuals, such as innovation, agility, and collaboration. It allows for the crafting and understanding of the relationships and the influence between these things, the enterprise, and individuals. We've reviewed how we define the digital organization and its enterprise relationships within the business ecosystem. We've considered the person perspective in the digital workplace and the relationships within the talent ecosystem. Also, we've considered the underpinning technology ecosystem pillars. 1, the digital backbone, and 2, the digital services framework. The combination of these are managed to assure agility, while a secure and robust backbone underpins new digital applications and services. Now we consider the key categories of software systems within the organization's digital ecosystem. These enable the relationships, transactions, and alignment between the ecosystem participants and the value chain. Systems of engagement are universal communications, social and collaborative tools and platforms that enable ecosystems participants to engage and form relationships. The systems of business, these are the systems that enable the value chain to function effectively and efficiently in the development, build, and delivery of the core offering to meet the customer or user needs. If the offering is a digital offering, it'll often be tightly integrated into these systems of business. Examples include e-business, e-commerce, enterprise resource management, HRM, workflow management. Systems of productivity. These are the applications and tools used by individuals and teams in the digital workplace. These tools support the efficient and effective utilization or consumption of resources to produce output at the lowest possible cost with the highest premium value added. These tools include office productivity tools and, for example, profession-specific tools such as in IT, software configuration management and code control, or in engineering, computer-aided design as examples. Systems of record relate to the control and management of the enterprise's information and data. They are often associated with the primary database system of the organization, where the organization's information assets reside and are managed. Finally, when we look at these 4 system categories, it does not mean they each stand alone. They can exist in any configuration at whatever level of integration is deemed appropriate for the specific organization's IT and business architecture. Having gained some insights into ecosystems and the value chain, how can an organization practically use this knowledge to build or contribute to increasing the ecosystem's value for the organization? Firstly, identify the value point and the value chain to be considered. This could be broadly or narrowly defined. In this first example, we select talent management broadly, or perhaps the recruitment ecosystem as a narrower subset. Another example is operations, where we might be considering all or some of the production process. In this final example, we might be considering the supplier ecosystem in the context of procurement value add to the organization. We then list the participants for each type of actor, enterprise, person, or thing in the existing ecosystem, for that value point being considered, and the value they deliver to us, the ecosystem, and they derive. In line with the organization's strategy and plan for change, we consider potential and new participants and their impact on the ecosystem, and the value they deliver to us, the ecosystem, and that they derive. At this stage, for a specific value point, whether broadly or narrowly defined, we have an inventory of the characteristics of the network of participants for the current state and the potential target state. This information enables our organization to understand and assure future changes to the ecosystem and the value chain deliver the expected value for all the participants. The next useful step is to map the ecosystem. We do this to understand how our organization might influence or be influenced by changes to the ecosystem as it relates to the selected value point or points. We color code the 3 participant types to assist with the analysis and can use the size of these circles to reflect their importance within the ecosystem. The arrows are used to indicate the network of relationships and the flow of value. We next assign the role or the strategic posture each participant plays or is likely to play, as we earlier discussed. This can start to give an indication of the health of the ecosystem and a strategy for your organization to influence the participants for the benefits of value creation within the ecosystem. We then, in parallel with the final step, identify the stage of ecosystem evolution. Finally, using the available facts, data, and expertise, the organization can make a judgment on each of the key 4 health indicators and the health of the ecosystem overall. The organization then can make decisions as to what strategy and actions it should take to improve the value of the ecosystem overall, with a view to improving the value of its own value chain. Thanks for your attention. I hope you found this video useful and informative. Below you can see other videos in the digital series. If you need any further information, you can go to the listed websites, or you can email me at info@intelligentorg.com. Thank you again.